The most famous reverse psychology manipulation in history was pulled off on December 31st, 1502, when Cesare Borgia pretended to forgive the men who betrayed him, then strangled them at dinner. This single act of psychological warfare inspired the book that created the word Machiavellianism. But here's the crazy part. The family that mastered reverse psychology in negotiations was ultimately destroyed when the most powerful religious figure in the world accidentally drank his own poison after trying to assassinate his dinner guests. This is the story of how the Borgia family's accidental self-assassination ended a papal dynasty, collapsed an empire, and gave us the word Machiavellianism. To understand how a pope ended up killing himself with his own poison, you need to know what the Borgias had been doing for over a decade. Rodrigo Borgia was born in 1431 in Zativa, Spain. He wasn't Italian, wasn't old Roman nobility. He was an outsider, and the great Italian families never let him forget it. But in 1492, when the papal throne sat empty, Rodrigo did something remarkably simple. He bribed the electors, every single one he needed. Just like that, he became Pope Alexander VI, head of the Catholic Church and one of the most powerful men on earth. Most popes at least pretended to care about spiritual matters. Alexander didn't bother. He had at least 9 children, most of them illegitimate, including his notorious daughter Lucrezia Borgia, who would become infamous for her role in the family's poison operations. He immediately put them all to work. His secret goal was breathtaking in its ambition. He wanted to unite Italy's warring city-states under a single crown, a Borgia crown. His weapon of choice for this project was his son, Cesare. Cesare Borgia was made a bishop at 15 and a cardinal at 18. But Cesare had no interest in church robes. He became the first person in history to resign the cardinalate, trading his red hat for a sword. Once he had that sword, he used it. Cesare carved through central Italy like a blade through silk, conquering the Romagna, the richest of the papal states, using military force, political alliances, and something far more dangerous, psychological manipulation tactics that left his enemies paralyzed with uncertainty. He even employed Leonardo da Vinci as his military engineer during these campaigns. Here's where it gets fascinating. In June of 1502, a young Florentine diplomat named Niccolò Machiavelli arrived at Cesare's court in Urbino. Machiavelli had been sent to negotiate, but what he witnessed over the following months would change the history of political thought forever. Cesare's opening words to him weren't diplomatic, they were a threat. "I don't like this government and I cannot trust it. You must change it. If you don't want me as a friend, you will find out what it's like to have me as an enemy." Machiavelli was terrified. He was also deeply impressed. He stayed at Cesare's court from October 1502 through January 1503, sending regular dispatches back to Florence. During that time, he watched Cesare pull off what Machiavelli would later call a rare and wonderful exploit. Several of Cesare's own commanders had formed a conspiracy against him, the Magione conspiracy. Any normal leader would have raised an army. Cesare used reverse psychology that still stuns historians today. This wasn't just murder. It was a masterclass in reverse psychology. Cesare didn't fight his enemies. He made them want to walk into his trap by appearing vulnerable and forgiving. He pretended to seek reconciliation, sent warm letters, made promises, and on December 31st, 1502, he invited the conspirators to a friendly dinner at Senigallia. They came. They sat down. They never got up. In the early hours of January 1st, Vitellozzo Vitelli, Lord of Città di Castello, and Oliverotto da Fermo were brought to a bench, seated back to back, a cord tied around both their necks. An iron bar was threaded through the cord and turned until it strangled them both. Cesare's enforcer, Michelotto Corella, known as Don Micheletto, did the work personally. Europe didn't recoil. Europe applauded. And Machiavelli took notes. But the Borgias had an even more sophisticated tool than staged dinners and garrotes. They had cantarella. This was the family's signature poison, a white powder with a pleasant taste, likely a variation of arsenic, whose exact composition remains unknown to this day. They sprinkled it on food, dissolved it in wine, even laced book pages and gloves with it. Cesare kept a personal supply in a hollow ring. The Borgias specialized in disposing of cardinals, bishops, and nobles, and they had a financial reason to do so. When a cardinal died, his personal wealth reverted to the church, which meant it reverted to the Pope. When a Venetian cardinal died in 1503, Alexander sent his personal troops to collect 150,000 ducats from the dead man's estate, and then sold 9 new cardinal appointments to replace him. It was murder as a business model. Which brings us to August 6, 1503, the evening that ended everything. Cardinal Adriano Castellesi was the wealthiest member of the College of Cardinals. He had paid Alexander a fortune for his elevation and had recently hosted lavish gatherings at his villa outside Rome. That August evening, despite the unhealthy season when malignant fevers were rife in the city, the Pope and Cesare Borgia joined Castellesi for dinner. The banquet went on until well past nightfall. Within days, both Alexander and Cesare were burning with fever. The Romans believed they knew exactly what had happened. The Borgias had prepared poisoned wine for Cardinal Castellesi, intending to kill him and seize his enormous wealth. But something went wrong. A servant mixed up the cups, or the wrong bottle was poured first. The master poisoners had poisoned themselves. The Pope's decline was agonizing. On August 12th, the fever took hold permanently. Doctors drew 13 ounces of blood. It didn't help. On August 18th, after receiving last rites from the Bishop of Carignola, Pope Alexander VI died at the age of 72. What happened next to his body was unlike anything Rome had ever seen. According to the Venetian ambassador, the corpse was the ugliest, most monstrous and horrible dead body that was ever seen, without any form or likeness of humanity. The body had turned black and swollen prodigiously, the tongue inflated, brown fluid seeping from his lips and nose. The stench was so overpowering that no one dared kiss his feet or hands, as custom required. To historians, this rapid and extreme decomposition was consistent with arsenic poisoning. To others, it was simply the Roman August heat working on an old man's body. Cesare survived, barely. His doctors plunged him into a massive jar of iced water, and somehow, the shock didn't kill him. He emerged days later with his skin peeling off and his face stained violet. But while his body recovered, his empire did not. Every alliance, every conquered territory, every political arrangement had depended on one thing: his father sitting on the papal throne. Without Alexander, Cesare had nothing. The new pope, Cardinal Giuliano della Rovere, who became Julius II, was the Borgias' bitterest enemy. He famously declared, "I will not live in the same rooms as the Borgias lived." He desecrated the Holy Church as none before. The Borgia apartments in the Vatican were sealed shut. They would remain closed for over 300 years. Cesare was arrested, imprisoned in Spain, and eventually escaped only to die in a minor skirmish in Navarre on March 12, 1507. He was 31 years old. His body was stripped naked by attackers who didn't even recognize who he was. They found 25 stab wounds. A marble tomb was eventually erected. Its inscription read simply, "Here in a scant piece of earth lies he whom all the world feared." 10 years later, in 1513, Niccolò Machiavelli sat down and wrote The Prince. In it, he held up Cesare Borgia as the model ruler, the man who showed glimpses of greatness, the kind of thing that made you think he was sent by God for the country's redemption. He wrote the line that would define political realism forever. "It is far safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." This is the essence of reverse psychology in power. Cesare made his enemies believe he wanted peace, which made his violence devastatingly effective. The entire philosophy we now call Machiavellianism, the cold calculus of power, the willingness to deceive, to manipulate, to do whatever survival requires, was born from watching the Borgias operate. And here's the supreme irony. The family whose name became synonymous with cunning, whose poisoning operation was so efficient it functioned like a Renaissance corporation, who used psychological warfare and reverse psychology to dismantle conspiracies and conquer kingdoms, that family was ultimately destroyed by their own signature weapon. The Borgia family's accidental self-assassination didn't just end a dynasty, it ended the most audacious bid for power the Vatican had ever seen. In its ashes, it gave the world a word, a philosophy, and a warning that has echoed for 500 years.